meeting for the year, and welcome to anyone watching at home. We'll get straight into it with apologies. We've got an apology from Mayor Kircher, and I believe it's an apology for lateness from Councillor Hopkins. That all the apologies? Can I have someone move that? Thank you, Councillor Halalali, and Councillor McRoby seconded that. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. Right, do we have any declarations of interest? None, so we'll move on to the confirmation of previous meeting minutes. The 10th of December. Right, any errors or omissions? I have someone move. They're true and correct. Thank you, Councillor McRoby. Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Halalali. Any comments? I'll put that. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. And against? That's carried. And we'll move on to our memorandum reports, which is page 10, our district plan update. I'll pass to you, Mrs. Byrne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Katrina Clark on her appointment to the role of Senior Planner for the district plan team. Sorry, Katrina, and welcome her here today. We are getting closer to being ready to consult on the draft plan. We're preparing for landowner engagement, which is significant. Staff are in the process of engaging a consultant who's very familiar with Waitaki to support this work. Officers unfortunately won't be in a position to confirm when we will actually consult on the draft district plan until we have feedback from that engagement. So that is a critical part of the next process, but the work in the background is being done. We're in a very good position to respond to that feedback when we get it, and the dates will come from that piece of work.
So yeah, I guess this is just where are we at kind of outline for councillors. Is there any questions at all? Right, so can somebody please receive and note the information? I have a mover. Councillor McGravy, eyebrows, and Councillor Williams. Right, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. And against? That's carried. We'll move, just wait for change around staff. Right, moving on to page 18 with age-friendly community.
So just to reinforce here that this work was agreed last year, and we're very pleased that the report is now complete and that it has found some things that we're doing very well, which is great, and it's also identified some opportunities for development. As the report states, we had hoped that Aged Concern would be successful in securing some funding for 2021, which would have enabled us to further progress that work. We consider that a small setback. We are optimistic that we can find funding to finish this work off. In the meantime, we do have some funding left from the initial pot that we were given, and Helen and her team will continue to progress that work until we can secure alternatives.
Fantastic.
Helen's here to answer any questions you have about the report.
Did you want to add anything at all, Helen, at this stage?
No, just to say that it was very well consulted on and put together by Katrina Prunty, who was the person who actually did the work for us. And as Lachelle's referred to, we do have some residual funding. I've spoken to the funder and they're quite happy for us to utilise that to progress the work over this next little while. And whilst that's happening, I will of course be looking for additional external funding, grant funding, to see if we can progress until next year, at which time we can apply again.
And how do you see this information feeding through into our work programs do you think there's a lot we can take from what we've learned?
So I think there is a lot we can take from it. What I want to do after today is to take this report back to the Positive Ageing Group or the steering group and to work through each of the recommendations. Katrina has developed some really good relationships within council with our team here. So many of them are already aware of some of the recommendations in here. So yeah, looking forward to getting this rubber hitting the road on it, really.
Fantastic. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Wallstein.
Madam Chair, thank you, Helen, for your report. And just looking at the information regarding our ageing community, and 26% of Waitaki residents are over the age of 65, whereas approximately 15% across New Zealand.
That's
so
right.
That really, to you, reinforces the need for the role that you're doing.
It absolutely does, and also remembering that an age-friendly community is an everyone-friendly community. So what works for our older people also works for our younger families as well. So even though we're talking about people over 65 here, for me, it's really about the whole community and access for everyone.
All right, councillors, any other questions for Helen? No? Thank you very much for the put into this. Do I have a councillor that wants to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Halaleli. And seconded. Councillor Williams. All right, any other comments? All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
And against? That's carried. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you very much.
Right. Right, and we move to 4.3, which is page 48, the District Licensing Committee.
So I guess there isn't too much to say about this report. The numbers are generally what we would expect in this year. There are some figures that are slightly lower than normal, which may be COVID related, maybe not. We can't confirm that at this point in time. Though it's not in the report, I do think there's an opportunity for the committee to think about the value of this report in the longer term. As we're now reporting trends in our general activity report, I think there's an opportunity just to integrate this into the general activity report, but I'd certainly be interested in the committee's view on that.
Fantastic. Right, first of all, any questions to the report here? No. Interested in having feedback. I think we can probably tell a lot by trends. I'm not sure if this is required to stand out by itself. And how do other councillors feel about that?
We have some, well, we did councillors being DLC, of course, which keeps a good head of how things are going. So it's fine just to see the trends. Anything is in there that needs to be put up or can still be put up. Doesn't matter if it's general business.
Great. Well, first of all, sorry, I'll get a mover for the recommendation. Right, who would like to move that recommendation? Councillor Halaleli, we have a seconder. Councillor McRoby, thank you. Any other questions? All in favour, please say aye. And against? That's carried. And we'll move on to the Heritage, Environment and Regulatory Report.
Fantastic. I'd like to congratulate the entire team on the great work completed over the last quarter. A number of staff, including myself, have been out of the business dealing with relief and recovery. We've welcomed new staff on board. In addition to the team, the value it's been the volume of work last quarter and our performance, along with being able to get some policy work started that's sat on the back burner for quite some time. I'd just like to take an opportunity to introduce those that don't know and also congratulate Brent Cunningham, who's sitting in the background there. So Brent has been appointed as one of the team leaders to our building services team, along with Josh Julie. So in the future, you'll see faces around the table. And of course, Roger Cook, who will be taking over the reins as GM in the future. I believe the Hugh Group is in a strong position to continue to deliver, and you can ask the team anything you like from here.
Fantastic. Right, well, councillors, we'll just take it page by page. And is there any questions on page 50? Page 51. Page 52. And if there's anything staff want to bring up, make sure you let me know. Page 53.
Sorry, Chair, back to 52.
Sorry.
Just the increase in one reports of 57%, just building activity and sale and purchase activity, quite substantially up same period, same quarter.
Through the chair, I believe the LIM report increases is largely due to the very buoyant property market at the moment.
Anything else on page 52? Go to page 53. Page 54. Now you've got the not started by the Indigenous Biodiversity Strategy, but obviously a lot of that's going to feed into our district plan review. Do you want to just expand on what the plan is around the strategy, or if it's necessary to be looked at in depth at the moment?
Thank you, Chair. The biodiversity strategy, I guess it's really was there to support some of the significant natural area investigatory type work that's been done over a number of years, and so in that sense it's still quite timely. Going forward, we will be in a different position with the district plan, and so when the district plan moves on, it might be more about how we implement rather than how we identify significant natural areas. As such, therefore, though it hasn't started, that's probably not mission critical, but in time, yes, we will need to start looking more closely, and it will have a different focus from what it's got now.
Yeah, just wondering, I guess at this stage, whether it's something that councillors need to be across it anyway, or because I see it's supposed to have run 2014 to 17. What do those timeframes actually mean for us? Like, should we actually be sticking to them, or you know, what's the level of comfort of just rolling it over and not bringing it to us at any stage?
The comfort levels there. The state at the moment is one of flux at a national and regional level. There is a biodiversity strategy which came out just over the last 6 months, and we're looking also for the new national policy statement on biodiversity to come out in May. At that point, we might be in a better position to be able to advise whether that should be escalated or raised. But at the moment, it's an area of important work that the numbers 2014 to 17 don't necessarily translate, and it's totally out of date. And in many aspects, it is still highly relevant.
Is it something worth us actually putting in front of council and actually just adopting it as is until those timeframes come through, just to keep it on radar?
It will be starting to pull work off other areas to do that, but if that is the council wish, then we could certainly investigate that area. At the moment, as Guyon has mentioned, we're just about to throw a lot of work into the district plan units. It's just a case of which one takes priority.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah, I'm not saying it's something we need to pull ahead of everything right now, but I guess it's just understanding what those timeframes actually mean for councillors as a strategic kind of vision, because I guess we get given an indication of when we should be revisiting things. And it's hard to know for us if that's a red flag when we've got a not started in a time frame like that, whether it's something we need to be actually concerned that we're not up to play on, especially with biodiversity moving as quickly as it is, as you just a talking point, I guess.
We can provide,
Later on this year, we'll be certainly timely to explore that.
through the chair, sorry, we can review the policy and just put some more detail in here about why we're comfortable with it. I understand from the discussions that we've had in the past to support Mr. Burrell's overview of the situation. I do think the policy is still very relevant in its current form, especially with change that we maybe are not in control or fully over at the moment. But we can do a bit of a broader overview about what the strategy contains and why we think it's still relevant. So to give you confidence that we don't need to review it right now.
Perfect.
Would that be enough?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Thank you. Right, any other questions on page 54? Councillor Halaleli.
Sorry, just going back to page 53. Just wanted to acknowledge so and the re-accreditation process. Congratulations to the team for all your hard work. That was a significant amount of work. So well done.
Without a doubt. Certainly the feedback didn't come as a surprise to any of us. I think it's probably a bit of a given because you've done such an amazing job leading up to here that I think we were confident as a council of the result coming out of it, but well done. Amazing. Anything else on page 54, councillors? We'll go to page 55 and 56.
Chair, there's a reference to Grants Road on the 17th of December, and there are two further references on pages 57 and 58. I'm assuming they're all the same, relate to the same consent. That'd be right.
Through the chair, just to help me out, there is a reference there on the, did you say the 15th of October, and what was the other date? Was it
15th of October, and sorry, just 2 seconds, and 17th of December, and prior to that, one on the 7th, still on the 7th of December, 3-lot subdivision. Then there's an amendment to something to do with that, and then on the further on down, on the 7th of December, there's a building platform. Are they all part of the same resource consent, or are they additions to? Just noted that there were 3 separate statements here with consents, and I'm just assuming they're all the same.
to answer that question? They would appear to be the same, but I would need to go back and double check.
Yep.
No urgency, but I just thank you.
No, thank you.
That all Grants Road's really busy at the moment.
3 lots.
Right, anything else on page 56? Go to page 57. 58. Page 59. Right, and that's the end of group activity report. Thank you very much. Councillor.
I'm late, obviously I am.
We did put an apology for lateness, knowing that you were.
Thank you very much.
Right, we're just doing a little bit of a change around and getting ready for the People and Culture group activity report.
Have you done Oh, okay.
Did we?
Yes, no one's.
All right, so we'll just back on 59. We'll go back to just receiving the report. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor McGrovey and seconded by Councillor Halaleli. Any other questions or comments? Right, all in favour, please say aye. And against, That's carried. And on to page 60 with the people and culture group activities.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a few highlights from our report, which you will see reading through it anyway, but obviously really delighted to have the Waitaki Museum and Archive opened in December. It was quite an effort to get there, but I really congratulate the team for all the work that went into that. And also to all the elected members for the help and support that we got during that time, because we had a few challenging hurdles to get through, but we got there, and I think it was a really well attended and celebrated event, so thank you. In the library's report, you'll notice I haven't got the usual statistics in there. We'll bring those through to the next report rather than every report, and we're taking a look at the structure of our reporting style anyway. And as you'll see, this is our last committee day for Mr. Fansal, who is retiring. So there's some acknowledgements in there. I really just appreciate everything he's done with the library space and the team and the district libraries as well. So I congratulate him on what he's achieved and wish him and Julia all the very best for their retirement in Dunedin. And as you'll see in the report as well, we have filled the role of the library's manager with Jenny Bean, who's joining us on the 8th of March. So Philip will be working with a handover for her, but she's got big boots to fill. Also wanted to acknowledge the departure of our archivist, Chris Meach. He'll be exceptionally missed, but is going to a really exciting opportunity down at the Hocken. There is, through the report as well, the by-election for Wahimo. Just wanted to highlight that too. It closes for nominations on the 15th of February. And I welcome any questions to our very capable people and culture managers here with us today.
Fantastic. Just want to echo that the museum looks absolutely amazing, and just the opening was really special, and I thought it was handled really well. It was fantastic to see the mix of culture on display, and I thought it did justice. So thank you so much. Page 60. Any questions, councillor? I'll just take it page by page. Page 61. Page 62. Councillor.
Just perhaps to Chloe, do we have any sort of initial figures for attendance at the museum and numbers, and what percentage of those are visitors from out of district?
Through the chair, we don't have the percentage from out of district yet, but we will be collecting that information more formally shortly. But we've been averaging about 30 visitors a day through, up to sort of 100 on some days, and there have been quieter days as well.
Thank you.
Anything else on page 62? We'll move on to 63. A few pictures. 64. And page 65.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering, what, if anything, do we intend to do about the fact that Francis can't progress the arts, culture and heritage strategy due to lack of resources?
If I can respond to that, it's something that I myself have been trying to get traction on for quite a while, and Francis volunteered to give me a hand, but also found the same issue. So one thing that we're looking at trying to tap into at the moment is a potential fund to be able to give us a bit more resourcing to buy somebody in to help us pull that together, just recognising our resourcing issues. So that's a possibility. Otherwise, we're just going to still be trying to resource that ourselves. So we've got the strategy that's in place now, which is quite out of date and definitely needs that to be reviewed and to give our cultural facilities the direction they need as well. We recognise it's important. That's the aim at this stage.
Through you, Madam Chair, which fund do you think you might be able to access?
We are, hopefully I'm not speaking too soon, but we're trying through the Libraries Partnership Fund program. They've just come out with a second round. I thought you might have some questions about that when we get to the libraries area. There's a possibility we could tap into some because of the whole GLAM collaboration approach, galleries, libraries, archives, museum. We could potentially tap into some funding for that. Otherwise, I'll have to get my thinking cap on a bit more. I'm not sure if Mr. Fansal wants to speak any further to that.
Here, just in terms of like creative intent.
It's not something that we've looked at for this particular project before now. Obviously, we've been, looking at funding avenues for the cultural facilities area, but when this fund became available recently, it looked like a real possibility. So if it's not, then we'll get a bit more creative, if you excuse the pun.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, with the partnership fund, in a nutshell, we have appointed 3 positions. I've described them in the report, and how we envisage it working is the money that the council pay these people, these staff members, will be put in a holding hierarchy that I still need to work through with Ian. And just as long as we can justify that the money was spent to meeting the objectives of the support, and I definitely think that heritage strategy is part of that, we would be able to use those funds if we are not successful in getting through this second round, which is from now until the end of this financial year.
Thank you. Ms. Councillor Hopkins.
Just trying to, sorry, I was going to ask you, just trying to clarify then, the 3 positions that you say we've appointed or seconded people to coordinate community engagement, lifelong learning librarian, and secondment support librarian. Is that correct?
Yes.
What you're saying is that we are paying, are these now people who are additional to the existing staff and levels in the library? Or?
No, we have taken the 3 staff members, Debbie Price-Hewen, Fiona Kerr, and a casual person that we've had that is qualified librarian and teacher, and we've appointed them in these positions.
Right.
But the 3rd position will take up the jobs that these people left are not doing because of their partnership fund duties. Having said that, like in Fiona's case, most of the work that she's doing is her normal work anyhow. So there are just some things that she wouldn't be able to get to. And the same to a large extent with Debbie Price-Hewen. She is our lifelong learning librarian. So she basically can spend more time in planning for the future.
Right, Mrs. Bailey, I'll get you to touch on that.
Effectively, it's not new positions, new FTE created in the library. It's us been giving funding to be able to direct some of their time on some different project areas that we can get funding for, if that makes sense. And then we're using our other staff and our casuals to pick up some of those additional tasks that the usual staff would normally be doing. So it didn't come out as clear as I expected it to. But so it's not additional staff, it's just redirected focus of efforts during this time period. And we got the full funding to be able to do it.
And if I understand Philip correctly, we will be reimbursed retrospectively, provided we can demonstrate that the activities undertaken correspond with the reasons for which money was granted under the scheme.
We'll actually get the funding up front for it. And what Philip's talking about is the money that we would normally pay for salaries is actually sitting there to be accessed for other things.
Fantastic. What a great opportunity.
Yeah. The background in a really tight nutshell is libraries have been, especially during COVID, have been acknowledged that we have all shifted away from the traditional functions as to an integral part of education, outreach, and teaching skills. And because a lot of people now are totally helpless because they haven't got any digital skills, but other objectives like digitization, cultural, multicultural support, and of course biculturalism have been identified.
Fantastic. Right, so that leads us well into a success section libraries. Is there any other questions on that? No. Right, we'll move on to page 67. And 68.
Chair, I'd like the digital initiatives that are being talked about here. And I like the fact that now I've got Flora in our fleet, we've got Wander in our fleet, and maybe we might have Flora. But nevertheless, my interest in this really is some of those townships that they will get a lot of benefit. But how is this going to be marketed to make sure we get the maximum benefit from this bus touring around?
This is not a Waitega District Council initiative. It's, yep, you've got, that's something that we can tap into. Philip, I'll get you to address the question.
Yeah, through you, Chair. We are now literally next week starting our marketing. Dora will be arriving on the 1st of March, and she'll be here for 10 days until the 12th of March. And we'll be spending most of time up the valley and down to Palmerston to support there. The bus has a high beam Wi-Fi system, so people would be able to access Wi-Fi even in the townships while the bus is there. And I can also add that I'm now negotiating with the IS team to also tap into the funding to set up community Wi-Fi, do a request to set up community Wi-Fi in the smaller areas, Otamatata or Marama, down to Hamden, of course, and Palmerston. So, but the marketing will be social media, but also the local rags, newspapers, etc., radio, etc.
And don't forget and I forget Marama and Otamatata residents have all got their own websites, so they've got their own Facebook pages and so all that stuff to be included. This is a good initiative actually, so it's good to have that in the district. Yeah, thank you.
Just Mr. Van Zyl, just to touch on, you mentioned community Wi-Fi. I know we've also got projects internally looking at us rolling out community Wi-Fi in certain areas. Is that something that's been worked together with what you're doing? If we're not reinventing or doubling up?
Yeah. Yes, because like for some of the venues, they couldn't quite afford it. And this is now an opportunity to tap into this money and get really state-of-the-art Wi-Fi that they wouldn't have been able, that council wouldn't have been able to afford in this next few financial years.
Yeah. So, but obviously we've already got the community Wi-Fi in some areas. You're tapping straight into that. Yeah.
So we'll be extending.
Fantastic. Thank you. Right. Any other questions on page 68? Go to page 69. Just want to say the annual volunteer fundraiser, I was lucky enough to jump on and attend. I think can't remember who actually put the spread on, but it was one of the volunteers and it was amazing. But just the takeaway from that was just how many volunteers we have working behind the scenes of our library. It was incredible, and it's one of those things that goes a little bit unseen, but it was really good to actually acknowledge the work they put in. So yeah, a great event. Right, anything else on 69? We'll go to page 70. Right, do we have someone that wants, oh no, we've got a bit more, sorry.
Yep.
Rushing things. Page 71. Page 72.
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair. I'm looking at the CRM task performance by month, and I'm wondering what breach actually means. And I'm also wondering, look at the bar graphs, and we've got dates across the bottom, but we haven't got numbers up the top. I know we've got 100, not 50 and 100% of what?
Okay, through the chair. The CRM is 85% is our target. And looking at this monthly is the number of CRMs that we create and then the number of CRMs. A breach is one that has gone past its service level agreement, the agreed time that we have to fix it. And the graph that I've got on here, I can start putting numbers on so you can see what is coming.
It just might be a bit more helpful. That's all. Thank you.
All right, anything else on page 71? Go to page 22. Good to see lots of things coming into the Opera House again. I'm starting to get a bit of movement there.
Yes, yep, it's very busy. There's a lot of New Zealanders touring, so yeah.
Great news. All right, anything else, page 72? Go to 73.
Yes, Madam Chair, just the new event coordinator.
Yes.
Can we have a bit more information about that? And I mean, I know that there was a similar sort of person at one point working for tourism like Becky back in the day. What will this person be doing?
If I can answer that one for you, Jim, this is literally a replacement of a position that we've had for a long time. So this is Sarah Ann, who left us not so long ago, and directly replacing that role. And Ms. McElhenney might like to speak more about what they do on a day-to-day basis.
I suppose I'm just wondering if there's any possibility for expanding the brief so that it extends beyond the Opera House itself.
It certainly does become a fairly busy role. But yeah, Mrs. McElhenney.
There is potential for the Opera House to pick up contracts to run events for external events, for example, other festivals, but most of them currently have their own festival coordinators, but that is certainly something that is doable and is viable. So, because we have all the skills, we have the staff, and we have the resources to do it. So it's a matter of broaching that with the festival organisers. Most of them actually have event coordinators currently in place.
I guess the challenge with a lot of events is whether or not the event coordinator, which is often a challenge if it's been done voluntary. They probably haven't got the budgets for things in a lot of our small events. Anything else on page 73? Go to 74. 75. 76. And just a reminder, I guess, on the by-election that we would love to see someone come forward, I guess. Would be really good. Yeah. We're not too bad to work with. Councillor Halaleli.
I'm sorry, just back to page 75, just wanted to acknowledge personally his departure from council and thank him for the service that he's undertaken. His new role is very important. There's an awesome place for him to go to, and it's a testament to how very capable. Thank you to him, and also to Philip as well with your comments on page 70. Thank you very much for the service.
Yeah, we are coming to parts of that as well. Just right, page 76. Right, and that's the finish of that report. Do we have anyone that's willing to move that report for me, please? Councillor Halaleli. We have a seconder. Councillor Hopkins. Right, if there's no other questions, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. And against? That's carried. Right, so well, we've got Philip and Lachelle still in the room. We've spoken a wee bit about people leaving, and Chris Meach is another, but we've got a few changes happening, and we're really sad to see two members go. We start with Philip. I think we've seen incredible changes at the library over the last few years, and your enthusiasm for those changes and just bringing them to council and trying to look at different ways of doing things. And you've been inventive over the time, but you've also been really resourceful with what you've had in front of you. And I think I speak for everyone when we appreciate the role you've played and wish you all the best in your retirement. You will be missed. And then there's Lachelle, who I don't really want to say that we're saying goodbye to her. She's been a pretty fantastic person. I've found her a great person as my group manager, someone I've worked very closely with, and she's always had an open door policy, and it's been a pretty fantastic way to learn. Her heart's been in our district without a doubt and in the job, and she's given it her all. So I'm going to miss you personally. She's around the corner. She's only 2 doors down from me, so I'll still see her. But I think professionally as well, it's going to leave a big hole in this organisation, and it's going to be pretty tough to fill it. But just want to thank you both for your service to Waitaki and to the council. If I can have a, well, I'll move from the chair. Motion. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Halaleli. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Councillor Hopkins.
Sorry, I think this is what made, we could also move a motion of thanks to Archivist Chris Meach.
Yep. I just thought from a governance perspective, we tend to be the ones that we've worked alongside a lot, but yeah, we can certainly do so. Because I guess we lose a number of people along the way, and it becomes very difficult if we're going to put them all into, because we've probably missed a lot of other ones too. But yeah, we can do that. Councillor Halaleli.
No, I just wanted to support that motion and just acknowledge Michelle and the service that she's contributed to not only just council but also the community. I've learned a lot from you, Michelle, being the first term councillor. I really appreciated the times that were caught up every fortnight and in between, and I just wish you well with your future endeavours.
All right. If the seconder is happy, we can also add a thanks. A thank you to Chris Meach for his role onto this one. Are you happy with that, Councillor Halaleli? Perfect. Right, so with that, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
And against? That's carried. Right, that's us for the public part of the meeting. So thanks for anyone who tuned in, and thank you to staff. Right, do I have someone to move us in?